No charts, nothing like that, no market maker secret concepts being revealed in some charts. It's basically a hypothetical conversation with my younger self. I get questioned a lot by email if I could go back in time. What would I like to do differently? And I kind of like twisted that whole idea to come up with this perspective. And if I could go back and tell myself what I know now, and this is basically a hypothetical conversation with my younger self. If I could go back to the start of it all, knowing what I know now, said everyone. How many times have you looked at a circumstance in your life, not just in trading, but in anything, every facet of your life, you wish you could go back knowing what you know now? I used to hear my grandparents say things like that, and I was like, what? I couldn't relate with it or to it, but being 47, about to turn 48 years old, there is a laundry list of things I wish I could go back and change, not just in my trading journey, but in all facets of my life. So I shared a bunch of those personal things today on my Twitter feed. If you haven't been over there, you can take a look at that and see my open discussion about many of the frailties in my personal life coming up as a younger man into where I am today. I want to talk a little bit about some of the things that I wish I could go back in time and tell my younger self. Now, the way you can use this for yourself is take what I'm saying with a great deal of appreciation, because I weathered a lot of storms financially and personally to get to what I know now. And you may be a very young person or an older person just now getting involved in markets. You're going to have the same growing pains that everyone else has. And some of these things are going to be things you probably read in books, heard other people talk about, but I'm going to give you my personal spin on some of them and how it applied to me. So it's kind of like a little bit of a little history book of what I was plagued with in my first 6 years. The first 6 years of my trading development is plagued with everything you could have possibly done wrong. And I want to kind of like use this discussion to kind of like go through some of the major hurdles that I had. And again, since I have children, adult children now, they can hopefully listen to this and mind the experience portion of it. Because a lot of the things that I put on my YouTube channel and I've taught over the years, it's heavily technical. There's a lot of things that are going on in the chart, and I'm always accused of being long-winded. And again, if you're not into really understanding what is most likely going to plague you, if you just want to go through it yourself and have all that experience, have at it, don't even listen to this video. And there's no harm in you not listening to this part. You could really just say, okay, I'm just going to wait to part 2. But it's meant to be a resource for you to glean experience from without having to go through the suffering portion of it. So if I were to go back in time and I could sit at a table and talk to my younger self, what would I tell him or me where to focus? What should I, as a younger person, focus on in my development as a trader? First thing, don't seek the approval from others. Right away, that's the number one characteristic of a successful trader. Now, you might not agree with the things I'm going to say in this episode. I'm just speaking from my own personal walk and the things that I had to endure. When I first started, the first people that I looked to get approval with was my family. And I love my family, both my immediate and extended family, but none of them shared in my excitement. They gave me all the reasons why it was a poor decision, it was a bad idea to get involved in it, I'm going to just lose money, and just accept working for the rest of your life, and that was simply not in the cards for me. I just didn't want to do that. So you don't want to seek approval from your family, because they're not going to understand what you're trying to do. They're going to give you all of the heartfelt reasons why they're going to try to protect you from yourself, when they don't really understand what it is you're trying to do or learn. Don't seek the approval of your friends. Number one, your friends are only going to be interested once you start making money. When they start seeing the changes in your life, then and only then will your friends be on board with it. Your friends, much like your family, really don't feel comfortable with you being successful, because if you tell them what you're going to do, then you get to the point where you succeed at it, you act like a mirror for them, and they will always look to you as a reminder of what they failed to pursue in their own life. So again, don't try to seek the approval of others, family first, and friends, because it doesn't work out. Third, don't go to work and tell your coworkers that you're going to be quitting your job soon. I made all those errors, okay, and many times I've shared the low-income, high-hour, heavy workload job that I was doing as a young man when I was beginning this journey, and I just don't think that it's a good practice for anyone to go to work and tell their coworkers. Number one, they're going to be giving you, again, all the worst feedback you're ever going to hear. Yeah, right, you'll be here with me the rest of your life. You're going to retire from here, all those things, okay? So when you get this feedback from your coworkers, you're going to hate going to work even more, because you might have liked going to work to some degree and hanging out with people you work with, talking about sports, talking about movies, talking about the opposite sex, hate going to your life. First thing, the things I'm going to say, seek approval from your family, understand, act like a mirror for them, and they will always look to you, family first, and friends, because it doesn't work out. Third, don't go to work and tell your coworkers that you're going to be quitting your job soon. I made all those errors, okay, and many times I've shared the low-income, high-hour, heavy workload job that I was doing as a young man when I was beginning this journey, and I just don't think that it's a good practice for anyone to go to work and tell their coworkers. Number one, they're going to be giving you, again, all the worst feedback you're ever going to hear. Yeah, right, you'll be here with me the rest of your life. You're going to retire from here, all those things, okay? So when you get this feedback from your coworkers, you're going to hate going to work even more, because you might have liked going to work to some degree and hanging out with people you work with, talking about sports, talking about movies, talking about the opposite sex. All these things that you had a common, agreement on or an interest in will start having a great divide, because you're going to look at them as a source of annoyance, and they're just going to look at you as you're pipe dreaming, and you're not going to get to where you're going, and it's going to be fun for them to watch you fail. And you don't want to have someone constantly, poking you every day. Looks like you're still here. I guess I'll see you to work tomorrow. And those types of things is what I had to endure. So don't tell your coworkers what you're going to be doing. Don't tell your boss what you're going to be doing. You're going to basically fire your boss and fire your coworkers when the time is right, but you don't want to broadcast it, because all it's going to do is provide them a timeline when they think you should be doing it and tease you the entire time. So your family's going to constantly give you heartfelt advice of why you shouldn't do it. Your friends are going to say, I'm not really interested, but if you get successful, I might be interested then, so why tell them? Your coworkers are going to give you every negative thing because they hate your life too. They're at the same place you're at, you're trying to escape. So why would you want them to pump you up. That's what we do as humans. We want to have our peers say, yeah, that's a good idea. But how many times in your life have you ever had that experience? I can tell you, unless it was my 5th grade teacher, Mr. Lorber, or it was my uncle that talked to me about commodities when I was 16 years old and taught me about narrow sideways channels and 1, 2, 3 tops and bottoms and head and shoulders, and all those bull flags and things. At 16 years old, I was looking at it and it was going in one ear and out the other. Okay, so when you tell all your family, your friends, and your coworkers, that's what's happening, and they're not going to say, you know what, that's brilliant. I wish I would have thought of that. That's the reaction you're expecting, right? It never works out that way. But yet we all do it as humans. We want to have that's a good idea response, and it never comes. So what does it do? It causes deflation. You don't want to be around these people because now you're like, I wish I would have said anything. But once you put it out there, it's done. And lastly, strangers. As a young man, when I was doing my job, I would finish off, filling up the candy machines and soda machines and coffee machines and such. And I used to do a vending route. And it's a long day, 13 hours or so. And during my route, I felt this unreasonable desire to tell other people that I don't even know. Yeah, I'm looking at a market, I hope it goes up, and blah, blah, blah. What? What are you talking to me about that for? So when you tell strangers, or if you meet someone in the pub, okay, or you're at a club, or, well, right now it's hard to go to those places right now because of all the things that's being impacted by the illnesses being spread around. The social circles, when you run into people, they'll ask you, hey, so what do you do with yourself? That's not the invitation to say, well, I'm looking to start trading commodities. They're like, what? Yeah, I'm trading the foreign exchange market. Right away, they're going to be like, what is that? And that's what you wanted to ask you. And when you start talking about it, they're like, oh, yeah, that's like the stock market. You're not interested. Or they're interested and they want to know how much money you made, and you can't tell them if you made any money. You're just now starting. So really, you're a startup and they're not really interested in the conversation anymore. So you're not going to get that feedback, again, what you're looking for. So don't seek the approval from others. You have to pursue this on your own steam, your own energy. And if you had any dependency on an outside source, be it any one of these 4 groups, family, friends, coworkers, or strangers, to give you that nudge, that little bit of a pat on the back that you're doing the right thing for yourself, you're going to struggle, because in trading, you got to be there to make the decisions whether anyone agrees with you or not. And when you make money, you reap the rewards of that. But when you lose it, and you will, you have to be able to endure that and not feel the compulsion to go to someone and say, hey, look, I just lost a lot of money. That's the same thing. Don't turn to anyone else and say, I made a mistake today, help me feel better. You have to endure that. And if you're going to start your journey with this mindset of seeking approval or support outside of yourself, this is going to be a very hard journey for you. So you have to prepare yourself to seek your own approval by your own study and your own development. Reward yourself when you do it right, and when you do it wrong, give yourself permission to be wrong and allow yourself to grow. Next, learn risk management well, and make that your initial, very first thing that you want to master. So you're controlling your impulses to stop telling everybody your business, okay? It's your business, it's not their business, stop giving your business to someone else. Next in line, it's the risk. You have to understand what you're getting involved in. If you're trading with live funds, you are losing money. That's a 100% guarantee you are losing money. There is never, ever going to be a trader that starts and never has a loss. My very first trade was a loss. I lost 50% of my account overnight. An orange juice option. I had no idea what I was doing. I was baptized, thrown in the water, and drowned. Okay, it was just that short and sweet. And I closed the account, asked for the remainder of my account, and that was the end of my Fox Investments career. That was the brokerage firm I used at the time. And I had to go and discover how to actually look at charts and learn a little bit more about the risks. So I didn't understand risks when I got into trading. I thought that it should work right away because I saw the book. The book said it does this. So therefore, when I looked at the chart, orange juice should have performed the same way because that's what this guy said in the book. This guy told me in at least 3 pages that the market, when it does this wiggle and waggle, then I should expect it to move this particular way. And where does he get off telling me this and then it not being true? You see where the disconnection is? That was how I looked at it, because I didn't want to take the responsibility of the risks. And I figured, well, I'm in an option. What's the worst that could happen? All of my money could have been gone. That's the worst. And in one day, overnight, while I was sleeping, woke up expecting to see I'm going to be in profits. Yeah, I wasn't expecting that. Down 50%. Welcome to trading, Michael. And it was a shock. And I just completely collapsed. Said, give me my money, I went out. And that money couldn't get back to me fast enough. And back then, they'd sent it in a check. And you had to wait for the check to come in the mail. It was awful. So the first thing you want to be focusing on is managing risk and understanding the underlying risk that's available to you if you trade. You want to appreciate the percent over the dollar gain or loss. When I first started, I was interested in making a specific dollar amount. I didn't understand compound interest. I didn't understand the Kelly criterion, optimal F, none of the advanced money management theories that I adhere to now. And I just looked for dollars. If I can make $500 on this move, that's what I want to make. And my stop loss was what was the maximum I could take. And that's exactly what I was doing, because I was afraid I was going to get stopped out. So I had this unrealistic stop loss that was just unbelievably wide, or I didn't have one. I was using a mental stop, which will drive you mental if you're driving in a truck 13 hours a day, getting out, loading canned soda and junk food in candy machines and going around and fixing machines that aren't right. And you're constantly wondering what the market's doing, and you don't have stop loss. Yeah, it's already bad enough that you have to time the market and pick the right direction. But now you got to add to it that you're doing it blind with no stop loss, and anything can happen. And that's what I was doing. I mean, literally, I was like a cowboy out there riding bulls with no experience whatsoever. And if I was thrown off, it was always going to be the worst case. It was really going to be bad. Every single time I took a loss, it was going to be bad. Either I got crushed and I got out because I couldn't handle the pain anymore, or if I had stopped, it was running against me, taking me out, and it was going to be the maximum risk that I could absorb in that trade. So you want to appreciate the percentage of what you are taking on as risk, also with your gains. So don't be impressed with a specific dollar amount, or don't look at a specific dollar amount as, well, it doesn't hurt that bad because it's only $300. But if your account is $3,000, that's 10%. That's considerable. You don't want to do that because you can't do too many of those and not see your account be lower to a level where it's a little bit difficult to come back from that as a new trader. So appreciate the percentage over dollar gain or loss. Learn to limit trade frequency. I felt that since the markets were opening up tomorrow, I had to be in there. So I was over trading, and if I got a profit and I was able to get out in intraday, I was like, well, that was fun. I want to go in there and do it again. When there was 20 minutes left in the trading session, because I was trading commodities, they had pit hours where it would open at this time and close at this time. And I figured, well, it's still open. Anything can happen. And if I'm right, man, I can make some more money before it closes. I had no idea what I was doing, folks. Zero idea. I was looking at these charts, and they were speaking to me, and it was all the wrong things. It was telling me, gamble. And that's what I was doing. I had money in the account. There was hours still left in the trading, or 20 minutes in this case, as an example, hypothetically. And I was going in there. And if I could get more money before close, that's what I was doing. And that's what hurt me. Because I didn't understand the risk. When you're getting close to the end of the session, the end of the trading day, or the end of the week, you have to know that there's a large degree of risk in the fact that you're probably not going to see any really major move at that point because it's already behind you. And you want to limit the number of trades you take, because the more frequency you have in your trades, the more likely you're going to lose. And if you have a lot of trades, you're going to have a lot more losses. And losses mount up. And you don't want that to occur, especially as a developing trader. You really don't want that to occur at any time, really. But you have to learn to limit your trade frequency. Avoid short-term trading, turning it into long-term trading. When I first started, I had no idea on what style of trading that I was going to really focus on. I was being told I wanted to be a position trader. You get on the daily chart, catch 1, 2, 3, hold it for 3, 4, 5, 6 months, and I couldn't do it. Just couldn't do it. And when I started trading with short-term strategies and such, when I was in winners, that started to move a lot for me. If you trade at any length of time, eventually you're going to get lucky with something. And when it starts moving in your favor really explosively, something happens inside of our brain. It's like, okay, this was only going to be a trade for a couple hours and maybe make, 5 or 6 handles in the S&P, or 100 pips in the Forex, okay, or a $2.50 move in the stock that you're trading. But now, because it's exploded, you're like, well, this is now a 6-month trade. And you end up holding on to a winner turn loser. And you changed your strategy from it was going to be a short-term trade to now a long-term trade, and that short-term gain turns into a now immediate loss. It's debilitating. Stick to what you were trying to do when it gets to your objectives, scale out, and get your target and move to the sidelines. Don't change strategies while you're in a trade. It never, ever, ever is a good thing. And be content with enough. If you had a profitable week and it's Thursday, close up shop. Who said you have to trade on Friday? What happens if you have a good Monday and Tuesday and it's way beyond your normal return? Why would you want to press your luck? The chances are you're probably going to give some of that back, if not all of it. And when I was younger, I did that a lot in my first 6 years. But I didn't care. It didn't bother me. I didn't have any appreciation for the risk. Because I figured, well, I'm going to be right eventually. And every trade I was swinging for the fences. And I wanted to make lots and lots of money. But the problem with that is, because I was taking on so much risk, when I had a little bit of a profit, I would close because I just couldn't handle it anymore. It was wearing me down. Like, I'm expecting to make $1,000 in this trade. All right, I'm up 250. I just gotta get out. Like, I'm fatigued. That's what the market will do to you if you have no appreciation for the risk. Don't undermine your trading by not tackling the first lesson in risk management. You have to understand it and how you personally engage with the marketplace and how you are, I guess, adversely affected. I guess that's the train of thought I'm trying to communicate here, because unless you feel the pain of being in a market that's not moving in your favor or screaming against you, you're not going to fully appreciate what I'm saying here. And as a younger man, I saw lots of equity swings that would make anyone else nauseous, and I didn't care. I had no appreciation, I had no respect for the marketplace, because I figured I'm going to get it right eventually. And I went through many accounts, not one or two, many, like 14 individual trading accounts. And I would save up money. My first account was with a credit card. And then the second account was with another credit card, $2,600 on a Nation Bank credit card Visa. And you pay a lot of percentage in terms of interest when you borrow cash. And I just was doing everything wrong. But I was not going to be deterred. Moving on, you want to prevent life imbalances. And this is one of the things that I failed miserably at. I have a pretty large family. I have 5 children. One that was brought into my marriage. I brought one into my marriage. And I had 3 children, 3 sons with my present wife. I didn't spend a lot of time with my kids when I was younger. I was consumed with the marketplace. I was consumed with making money. I was consumed with building businesses. I was consumed with real estate, buying franchises. Just always money. And most of my children's sporting events, I missed them. And it was very hard to see how much time I missed when I look back. And now look at my children as adults. Not all of them. I have a 15-year-old and a soon-to-be 13-year-old that's still living with me. But my older children, I don't have a lot of memories because I allowed the market to steal that. And I chased it more. The faster it ran away from me, the more I would pursue it. Because I was telling myself that I'm doing all of this for them. And that wasn't true. I was doing it for me. Because I hated my job. I hated where I was in life, and I wanted more. And I wasn't satisfied where I was. And every adversity brought on a new sense of urgency that I gotta get this changed right now. And days would pass and turn to weeks, to months, to years. And I missed so much time with my wife. I missed so much time with my children. And the greatest lesson I can tell you right now, if you're new, especially if you're a young man or a woman, and you're getting ready to get into this, these markets are vampires. They will suck every drop and the marrow in your bones if you give it to them. It does not matter how much money you think you can make or eventually make. Because I'm going to tell you something, I've made a lot of money. Millions of real dollars. Millions. And I would give it all back if I could go back in time and be able to spend the time with my kids and my wife that I missed. I created a prison cell for myself with these markets that I willfully put myself into every single day. And it wasn't enough to be in the daytime, worrying about all day long at work. Was I being a good employee? No. Many times I half-assed my job because I had to get back to the truck where my quote track was, which was my little quote machine, telling me what the soybean market was doing, or what live cattle was doing, or what the bond market was doing. And I was more concerned about that, and most of the time I was losing money. So I wasn't a good employee at the time. And when I got home in the evening time, what was I concerned about? Family? No. I was concerned about the market. I was wanting to know, what can I do to make more money? And my family will be there when I'm done. And that's a lie. It's a lie. You're going to give up your life if you don't pay attention to it. So how do you avoid it? You have to manage your family time and schedule it. This is the time for your family. No markets, no charts, no TV time looking at reports and news events that would drive the marketplace, no newspapers, no articles and magazines, no internet, no Twitter, none of that stuff. You manage your family time and you schedule it. And then once you have gave your family your time, an ample amount of it, then you have to return back to the marketplace. You want to keep a study and trade schedule. That means what time of day are you going to be looking at the market to trade? And there are specific times of the day, days of the week, months of the year that you want to be focusing on trading. And there are other times when you don't want to be doing it, and you want to be focusing on what they are. And when are you going to study? How much time each day are you going to allot for studying? Because if you don't have that, you're just going to go in there and say, well, it's basically like Netflix. I'm going to sit down, binge watch, and see what happens. Well, if you look at the chart long enough, it's going to start telling you, if you put some money into me, I might give you some more back. And you're going to gamble. How long will a gambler sit in front of a slot machine with a pocket full of quarters before they put all the quarters in there? As fast as they get the next one in. And that's what these charts are. They're slot machines. And you're being groomed as a gambler in all the books and things that you learn from other people. And it's just an enticement to constantly do that, feed that beast. So you have to keep a study and trade schedule and only operate on that basis. Off days are off days. On the weekends, I spent more time worrying about the marketplace when I should have been spending it with my family. So you have to absolutely hold yourself hard and fast to, when you don't have any market activity and it's not trading, or it's a holiday, it may impact with lower volume. That's an off day. And you don't look at the charts, you don't consume yourself with looking at what could have happened, none of that stuff. You pour it into your family, and that will prevent you from having a life imbalance. And finally, you want to be patient with your development. I was overzealous and unrealistic about what I wanted to do. Once I started making money, that's what caught fire in me. And I was like, I want more, I want more, I want more. And when I saw I could take a very small account, $1,200, $1,500 to $15,000 in less than 6 weeks, I was like, this is exactly what I want to do. Like, I want to do this. I don't want to do anything else. And you don't have to rush, especially if you are younger than 30. Like, if you're in your 20s, you have so much time to get yourself where you want to be. But you want to take the time to develop yourself and learn a lot about yourself, because if you're not aware of what you're going to likely do to yourself to throw yourself off the rails, it doesn't matter what you're going to learn or what you're going to do or how much money you start with or how much time you put into it. It just means that you're going to rush to destruction. So you have to give yourself a realistic timeline. When I first started, my plan was I wanted to retire at 40. I wanted to make $1,000 a month and retire at 40. That was my plan. And I quickly learned that that was a really low objective. What was possible was a lot more than that. But I wasn't prepared to see that type of equity increase. When I started making a lot of money, it's like a drug. And it makes you want to do more and more, and you throw that in with, you didn't care about risk, because I didn't. It hurt me. And I would see these huge gains and then huge drawdowns. So while I'd have really big run up, and I'd have a roller coaster drop. And it would just put me back in that, I gotta go back and spend more time in the charts. And who was suffering? My family. My children didn't get to see their father that much. My wife didn't get to see me as much as her husband. And I missed out on a lot. And seeing a couple photographs is not the same as being there to cheer your kid on when he's out there and he hits his first home run. I missed that. When his basketball team wins and he made that shot right before the last bell. I missed that. But hey, I made money on lean hogs. It doesn't measure up. Stop buying retail logic and tools. You just don't want to be filling your head up with all of this poor thinking, okay? Because that's exactly what it is. Everything you learn in retail books and courses is diametrically opposed to how actual markets work. So stop wasting money on books. And I've purchased either by electronic format or actual hard copy books. I have over 2,000 of them. And I won't buy another book ever again. And I wish I would have stopped the second year that I started buying. In my mind, I was going to buy as many books as I could, because somebody out there is going to have a secret. And I can tell you, after reading over 2,000 books, none of them did. And there's some real classics in there. And the ones that I do like, I've mentioned before. And I know some of you are new and you want to know what they are. For money management, I like everything from Ralph Ince and Ryan Jones. They do a lot of Optimal F and Kelly Criterion. It's a little bit advanced. I'm not saying that everyone that first starts trading should mess with that, because it's meant to run your account up pretty quick. And you're not going to be prepared for that. And I wasn't either. That's why I couldn't make it work right away. So I learned a lot about myself and then tuned for me. How Many $1 Million Trading Commodities Last Year? It's a 1970s book from Larry Williams. That book still is relevant today. Not every little thing in there is, but the majority of that book is. That was the real first inspiration for me to see how smart money operates in the marketplace. And then that was my pursuit for the rest of my life. I was going to crack these markets. So that, Trading for a Living by Alexander Elder, Market Wizards 1 and 2, just for inspiration, and Street Smarts by Linda Rash and Larry Connors. That's it. Now, if you want to know what to do the opposite of, John Murphy's Technical Analysis of Financial Markets book, that's the Retail Trader's Bible. I always recommend that one simply because you want to learn how to do the opposite of everything that's being taught in that book. And if you do that, you're going to quickly see how charts are really, really fun to watch then. Because it's such a high degree of percentage of failing that it's more likely if you just fade those moves, you'll probably see the chart work in your favor. Avoid looking for hot-hand gurus. I did this a lot on America Online. I chased everybody. If they had a service, I was trying it out at least for, well, back then they would do it by the week. Now everything's by month. And everything was, at the time, a newsletter or a phone number you had to call and pay a couple dollars a minute or whatever, and it would tell you what they were trading. And I never made money with that stuff. Even Larry Williams, not to be disrespectful towards him, but I, one time, was paying for his hotline. And you would just call him up and he would have a recording. And it was basically what he was going to do with the bond market and with the S&P market. And I did those trades and I lost money. Again, I'm not saying that he's not a profitable trader. I'm not saying he's not a good trader. I'm not saying he's not a good teacher. I'm just saying my personal experience doing that, I lost money on every single trade. So avoid looking for hot-hand gurus. This is the reason why I don't hold people's hands. I don't say, this is what we're going to do. Buy here, sell here, stop. I don't do that. Because all that does is create codependence. And you don't want to be a codependent trader. You want to be an independent thinking trader. Become your own signal generator. The big thing is always, as a new trader, you want to find someone that's good. You don't want to find a mentor. You want to find someone that's going to tell you what they're doing and making money so you can copy them. And I fell victim to that too. I didn't want to trust my own analysis. I got lazy in thinking, well, I really just want to make a lot of money, so if I can find someone that's really good, I'll just copy them. And everything they do, I'm going to take the trades. Since they're successful, even if I take a couple losses here and there, I'm just going to stick with it. So what am I really saying there? I'm saying that I'm going to use them as my system, and I'm accepting losses. I know they're probably going to come, but I'm holding out that they're going to have more wins than losses. Now, doesn't that make sense if you apply it to your own strategy? But when you, as a new trader, start, you don't want to accept losses. That's not acceptable. But when you justify your spending when you buy other people's signals, it's somehow brought into the reasoning part of the decision making that it's something that's acceptable. Losing trades, it's acceptable until you take that first loss, and then you're not subscribing anymore. You go back to looking for another hot hand guru. Be willing to lose, and lose a lot early on. It's part of it. You don't know what you're doing, and no book, no course, even me, if I sat with you every single day for a month, you would still take losses. You would lose. It's unavoidable. But early on, you are developing, you're going to be wrong a lot. And this is the reason why I tell people, do not trade with live funds until you know exactly what you're doing, and you understand yourself. And that may be longer than 6 months, it may be longer than a year. For some of you, it might be 2, 3, 4 years, like a college degree. And some of you aren't prepared for that. And there's no shame in you saying, you know what, this ain't for me. That's good. That means you're not going to lose money. That means you're not going to have imbalances in your life. That means that you're not going to hurt yourself, both financially and psychologically. Because I did that. I caused physical problems with an eating disorder. I developed agoraphobia, which is a fear of being around other people, because I didn't want them to find out how bad I was losing. And I wish I could go back in time and tell myself, losing is normal. It's acceptable. It's part of the business transactions. In this industry, you're going to have losses. Control them. Over time, you're going to make more money than you lose. I didn't think that way when I first started. I was trying to avoid losing altogether. And then every single loss was a paramount event. Like, it was huge. It was elevated to some grandiose, painful, just terrible thing that I had been enduring. And it's just, I did it wrong. Simple. You made a mistake, Michael, and you're going to make lots of them. 27 years from now, you're going to have so many losing trades, you're going to look back and say, you know what? It didn't kill me. So be willing to lose a lot early on in your development. That's why you want to do it on paper. That's why you want to do it on demo. Because you need to see what it feels like to be wrong a lot and not have the money taken from you. And then correct those problems before you put real money at work. Stay away from social media drains. Well, in this age, we have a lot of social media, but back when I first started, November 5th, 1992, social media was just starting out with message boards, or bulletin boards they call them. So it's kind of like Twitter, or, not so much Instagram, but basically like Twitter. People would just communicate with open emails. Basically, the format was whatever you would look at and see that would be sent by way of an email. It would just be an open source where people could see what everybody was doing. A message board, basically. And I would get my feelings hurt back then, because someone would say, that's a stupid idea what you're doing. And then when I was doing it right, everybody was like, man, you are a rock star. I'm taking that trade. And I was like, yeah, I know I'm making money now because he or she thinks it's a good trade. Man, that's stupid. That was dumb. I let other people back then influence my decisions or change the level of expectation I had on the trade. Because if they said, man, that's a good idea, I think it's going to go to 1150 when I was looking at like 1080. And I'm thinking myself, yeah, they're probably right. And I would change my trade to what they're saying because, man, I don't want them to be right and me miss out on that extra profit. You see what that trap just did? It took my trade away from me, and now I took their trade. Who's in control there? It wasn't me. I let go of the wheel. Don't join trading clubs, okay? That means circles where everyone has the hive mentality. Because you need to discover who you are as a trader, and it's very, I guess, wasteful for your time, and it stunts your growth if you start going into a group that has, well, this is the only way of trading, and this is all we do around here. Because what you're trying to do is be part of that clique, okay? You're trying to take on the hive mentality, and it may not be suited for you. But if you waste more time, and unfortunately money, you don't want to discover that you've been wasting your time and money, okay? So you want to be solo. Trading is a solo sport. It's not a team sport. No matter how good your guru or mentor is, if you're doing everything they say, you aren't in control. You are growing codependent. Don't subscribe to alerts. That gets back to signals. You want to be the source or generation of the trade ideas. That way, when you're wrong, you're forced to assume the responsibility. You can't say, well, I just listened to that person. They were wrong. They suck. Oh, well, what are you going to do about it? Well, I'm going to find somebody else. That's not responsible. That's gambling. You're going to another slot machine at another casino. That's all that is. Versus, I want to learn how to play cards and manage my risk, not bet too big, and just be steady at the table. You want to be the generating source of the signals. Don't subscribe to someone else because you have no idea what got them in the trade. You don't know what influences are being imposed on them. Maybe they had a bad day. Maybe they had just recently had a spat with their spouse, and they feel like they have to feel good, empowered. Man, I'm gonna go out there and just tell everybody to buy S&P tomorrow to open. And if I'm right, I'll feel good. I'll feel better about this whole thing. Because they're human too. Do you want to be subscribing to someone that's like that? You don't know if that's what's going on. They're not gonna come out and say, yeah, this trade worked out, but let me tell you what really was going on. My wife told me I was a bum. I spent too much time in front of these charts and I ain't spent any time with the kids, and I ain't walked the dog in 6 months. But I knew if I got this right, I'd feel stronger about myself. That never happens, folks. That never happens. Never subscribe to other people's alerts. Don't count other people's money. That's what's popular right now. Everyone wants to know how much money someone else has. Instagram, what cars do they drive? What houses do they live in? Where do they have on their vacation? What do they wear? What kind of shoes they have on? Do they wear socks? What kind of underwear do they have? What jewelry do they have? Come on. All that stuff is a waste. It's a waste. It's a waste of your time. It's a waste of money. And you don't need all those things. If you're trading to do that, you're never going to get there. And I'll repeat that. If you are trading to live like that, you're never going to get there. Because you're looking at money, and you're not looking at the process that's involved that would eventually lead to profitability. So you're chasing that carrot. That little piece of candy that's dangling in front of a child. You may be a stranger, but if you dangle that candy in front of a child, what's the child going to do? Reach out for that candy. And that's what all these people do. They dangle all this lavish toys and lifestyle materialism. All of that is fluff. I've never done those types of things. And it's important to understand that the reason why I don't do it is not because of lack of it, because I have all those things. But it doesn't do anything to make you a better trader. It doesn't make you a better student. And it will not, in any capacity, motivate you. And then that translates into a greater skill set that's derived because you saw that. It doesn't work like that. But how many people fall victim to that? Everyone. Everyone. The first course I bought from Ken Roberts, that's all he talked about. You want to go on vacations? You want to have enough money to quit your job? You want to buy a yacht? You want to live in a mansion? That's what was sold to me. And I bought that course. And in one trade, the very first trade, I lost 50% of what I put in. Well, I can tell you, that was never said in the book. That didn't get talked about at all. It just said, well, you can take some losses, but you don't want your losses to be too big. Okay. But what happens if it is? Because options are a little bit different animal. And I found out the hard way. Don't be enticed by other people's money. Don't count other people's money. Don't ask them what they make, because you can't spend their money. That's why I don't talk about what I'm making. That's why I don't talk about what I have. That's why I don't show you what I own. Because you can't drive my cars. You're not going to spend a night in my house. You're not going to eat dinner on my dishes. And you're not going to be on my vacations. So what difference does it make? It's not going to make me feel better about myself for doing it. In fact, I'll feel like a slime ball like I did when I was younger, because I did that stuff to get people interested in me. It's not necessary. Don't feel insignificant by contrast. When you see other people succeeding or supposedly succeeding, don't measure yourself against that. Because if you do, what you're saying is, I'm only successful if I get to where they're at. I did that. And when I stopped and said, you know what, I'm going to look at a goal that's above everyone I've seen out there. I didn't believe anyone else was more successful than Larry Williams. And he took $10,000 of $1.2 million in 1 year. Actually, it was over $2 million that same year, 1987, but the crash hurt him and he had to trade it back and got it to 1.2 before the close of the Robins World Cup that particular year. And you can see he still has the highest percentage gain in that contest. So I said, I'm going to make more than that. Because that was my measuring stick. And I wanted to do better than that. And I always lived my life with that in mind. I didn't want to say, well, am I good as, at the time, Jake Bernstein? Which, he got himself in a lot of trouble. And it's questionable of how much money he actually made as a trader. Point is, I fell victim to that in the beginning. And you don't want to do that. Don't measure yourself against someone else. Don't measure yourself against me. Don't measure yourself against somebody else you see on social media, Instagram, all that. These people 99% of the time are fake. They are driving cars they don't own. And they're in homes that they don't sleep in. And the clothes they have, many times, they're taking them back the next day. So, what's the deal? And watches are all basically fake. All that stuff is a lure to make you think they're successful. If they're successful, they'll prove it by showing you they know what's going to happen in the marketplace. But strangely enough, that's the thing they don't ever do. And that's what I focus on. I've made a reputation on telling you what I believe is the best in terms of market analysis concepts. In 1996, I penned what everybody else is out there now touting as market maker concepts. In one capacity or another, it's a watered down version of what I put in lecture notes in 1996. What I started using in 1995, improved with real money, I started teaching one-on-one sessions. And they have made their way through the internet over time, and now we see even more people who wrote books about it, they've made courses about it, and they even included some of the things that actually occurred in my personal life as some of their narratives, and it's all a lie. They didn't have those experiences, but I did. And I'm the only one who can prove that makes this stuff work. Don't feel insignificant by contrast, because the majority of the people you see out there, they're fakes, they're frauds, and they aren't what they claim to be. Match your style to your personality. This is something like from Larry Williams made a lot of sense, and I avoided doing it for a long time. I wish I would have done it sooner. But if you're a scalper, okay, you're going to do very well if you make quick decisions, and it's as simple as that. If you hem and haw about trying to make a decision and you want to be a scalper or day trader, it's going to be a problem. And if you short-term trade, typically you're the person that can take a trade and sleep while you're in it. That is a real good general rule of thumb. If you can sleep while you're in a trade, then you're probably a good short-term trader. Don't force yourself into any mold. There's gurus, there's mentors, there's people out there to educate, and unfortunately they try to take everyone and press them into this mold, this cookie-cutter approach, and it doesn't work. Avoid doing that. Don't try to copy someone. Their style, their image, their forte, their approach, their vocabulary. You see where I'm going with this, don't you? So many people out there on YouTube now sound a lot like ICT. Don't try to copy someone. Be original. Make your own unique model. Don't change trading approaches. Stick to one approach, one method, master it, and then see how you work with it. That means you're going to have to spend some time with it. Most people don't want to do that. Avoid system hopping, okay? And the trap is, if you take a trade and it loses, okay, that's reasonable. But if you take another trade and you lose, that's it, I'm throwing this away, this is stupid, this method doesn't work. I did that a lot. And I went through all kinds of trading systems, and that's the reason I went through all kinds of trading accounts, because I wasn't consistent with anything except for system hopping. That was my only consistency. The baseline of my consistency was all around me not being consistent with one trading approach. Many traders failed at that. Every model loses. You're going to have to accept that. I mentioned it earlier with risk. You can't avoid it. It's part of the business. Treat it like a normal transaction. When you go to work, if you get sick, you miss a day's work, that's a loss. Did you lose your job? No. Did you lose your house? No. Did you have a little less money that week? Yeah. That's life. Well, that's how trading works. Losses are inevitable. You're going to have them. Find your unique model and grow from it. Don't tweak it too much. Once it's profitable, stick with it. And then what you'll find is, by using a more advanced money management approach, if you have a method that gives you a delivered result that's measurable and it's consistent enough that it does it more times than it doesn't, if you add impeccable risk management and money management to that, you will become wealthy. End of story. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. That's the way it is. But you cannot get to that point until you go through all these other steps that are very, very boring, admittedly, but they're all part of the process. So on one trade setup initially, determine your asset class. Pick one market asset class. It's a commodity, it's an index future, it's a forex pair, it's a cryptocurrency, it's a stock, whatever it is, stick to that one asset class. And inside that one asset class, pick one market. Outline when you want to buy. That means what's the criteria that you feel comfortable with when it's a buy, and then outline that and make it as detailed as possible. Put it on paper. And the same thing if you want to go short. What's the characteristics and circumstances that would drive you to believing it's a short? And with that, you want to build many study journal cases. Notice I said not live trades with real money. You want to have a study journal that has a plethora of examples of where this worked in the past and when it didn't, and study them at great lengths, so that way you get familiar with what it looks like by recognition. And then when you see live price action, you'll recognize it as it forms. Now, with all those things, you have something to start with, and now you can plan your beginning. In part 2, I promise I won't be so long-winded and boring. We're actually going to give some insights on how you can go into the marketplace and study a very particular thing. And what that is the optimal trading tree. Until I talk to you then, wish good luck and good trading. Okay, welcome back, folks. This is part 2 of a continuing series of 4 videos. And I want to preface this by saying that I am, again, hypothetically speaking to myself when I was 20 years old, and how I would coach myself if I had the ability to speak to my younger self. This lesson, I guess if I could preface it by saying, is one of the most important things that was delayed in my own understanding. One of the things that I used to crack the algorithm of the markets that repeats every single week Every single week this phenomenon takes place. And I want you to really focus in on what I'm showing you here, because at first it's going to seem like, oh, this is classic support resistance. But I'm going to change the perspective that you have on that dramatically with this lesson. It's one of the things that helps me abandon the idea of classic support resistance, and then it helps me understand the real narrative of what was going on. And once you see this, and let me be very clear, some of you, perhaps the majority of you, will not fully appreciate this video the first time you watch it. Okay, so it's going to be brief, it's not going to be very long, but I want you to have the proper expectations coming in. But if you give it a second or third viewing after going through your charts and doing the things I'm going to talk about in this video, you're going to see something that has eluded you all this time. Okay, and one of the things that, well, brings extra value is I haven't even taught this to my mentorship group, and I felt inclined to teach this. I felt moved to do it, so I'm doing it. It's not in your books. No one else is teaching it. No one else talks about it, but they will now. It'll start spreading around like order blocks now, become institutional candles. These things that you're about to see are rather simplistic, but when you take a step back, it's going to require you to study. And this is the very reason why it has eluded everyone. It has eluded everyone's perception. It's eluded everyone's realization that this is what's actually going on. And until you see it for what it really is, it's going to feel like, well, this is hindsight. It's all fluff. It has no value whatsoever. And if that's how you feel about it, I really want you to never watch another video of mine, because you clearly are not prepared to learn the highest degree of order flow there is. Because this is how the algorithm, from the central bank level, not the mom and pop bank, not the prop trader's view of order flow, this is what's really going on. All right, so you really want to understand how the market delivers price. This is one of the central tenets to it that no one else is going to teach you. You're not going to see it, and you can prove it by going in your charts and looking for it. But you have to understand what it looks like. So I'm going to do that now. All right, Michael, you are looking at charts, I'm sure, wondering what it is that you should be looking for. And as a trader, we need movement. We need volatility. We need an idea of where the market is going to be reaching for. So, in a nutshell, what we're asking is, where do steady setups form? Because if you can come to this realization that there are steady setups, they do form repeatedly, and they are reoccurring, then you have a steady supply of potential wealth-making setups. Now, you're going to lose trades. You're going to. You need to put that behind you, because you're spending too much time worrying about what if you lose. What if you win more than you lose? What if you stop worrying about losing and focusing on how to manage the money and the risk, and having these repeating, reoccurring setups that form all the time? The sky is not the limit. So, the things that you worry about at nighttime and while you're at work, these things, stop making them paramount, because you have enough. You need to focus here. Where specifically? Monthly highs and lows, weekly highs and lows, daily highs and lows, and finally session highs and lows. If you understand the price flows that occur around these highs and lows, you will have everything you need for setups. You don't have to look for classic chart patterns. You don't have to look at trend lines, supposed support and resistance. You don't have to concern yourself with moving average crossovers. You don't have to concern yourself with overbought and oversold or divergence. You're going to waste a lot of time and many years holding on to these things because you think that's the real secret, because they're in all of the books that you're buying. It is not the secret, they are distractions. And I'm telling you, you're going to lose a lot of money holding on to that idea and trying to prove that you're just doing it slightly off. If you just have the right settings, you're going to figure it out. I'm telling you, you're wasting time. Don't do that. You need to focus on price. The open, the high, the low, and the close of any interval. These intervals, the monthly, the weekly, daily, and sessions, highs and lows. Monthly highs and lows. What you want to do is look at the monthly high from the last couple months. I'm going to say the last 3 months is a fair general rule of thumb. And you want to take the high and the low and you want to mark it out and extend it out in the future, because you want to study the reactions and how the markets react around it. It doesn't necessarily mean that particular price level, because the books you're reading are saying that's the magic right there. That's the specific level. And you're going to lose fortunes using these levels trading the way you're running them from the books. So stop. Don't pay any attention to those things. Understand that these books are priming you and everyone else around the world that spends the time to read them, and you're being misinformed. Because you haven't considered this question yet, but when you take a step back and think about it, if it is exactly like these books are saying, why isn't everyone else rich? It's simple, right? Buy support, sell resistance. Buy resistance broken, turn support. Short support, turn resistance. The markets don't work that way. There's going to be some examples where you'll see it in the books, but I'm telling you, you're going to lose money trying to do that. And you're going to waste time forcing your will on it to possibly magically fall into your lap where it just makes it easy. And I'm telling you, that day doesn't ever come. So don't do it. Don't waste time. What should be done at these monthly highs and lows is you want to see, does price draw up to an old monthly high, or is it aiming for it basically? Or is it drawing towards an old low? Or if it has recently went below an old low, is it rallying up? Because it's probably ran stops. And if it's ran stops in the form of sell stops, it's probably going to reach for an old monthly high. Even if it doesn't make it to that monthly high, you still have the potential to find setups that would generate momentum in that direction. You're going to develop this insatiable desire to see your trades pan out to perfection. And please listen to this. You don't need that, Michael. You don't need it to be perfect. You don't need perfection. You're going to have so many sleepless nights, and you're going to waste all kinds of energy and time doing that thing that will never arrive. Perfection is never going to get there. If I could shake you by the lapels and make you understand, it would be this. Stop trying to be perfect. You don't need to be perfect to be profitable. But pursuing perfection will cause you to lose multiple live accounts, because you want to be right. And it's not about being right. It's about being aligned. Aligned with the order flow. You want to be in sync with the algorithm. You're trying to fight it. You're trying to make indicators tell you what it's going to do. And at this time, at 20 years old, you don't even understand there's an algorithm. You have no idea the markets are rigged. You think everyone with the right indicators are making money, and you're wrong. And it's going to be many years before you realize that unless you see this as the facts. So when we look at monthly charts, we want to see, does price drive up into an old monthly high or down to an old monthly low? In and of itself, that is a huge paradigm shift, because you want old highs and old lows to react as support and resistance, and that is a fallacy. You're going to see that the market wants to go slightly above and slightly below. To and through. Remember this. Those words are going to be meaningful to you later on. You won't understand it right now, but if you spend time with these lessons, you'll understand it quickly. To and through. Weekly highs and lows. In between the monthly highs and lows, you're going to have very specific key levels that are found by finding the individual weekly highs and lows. And you're going to be studying the importance of how price will sweep below old monthly and weekly lows, and then gyrate up and down, but reach for an opposing weekly high or low. Now in this chart, you're seeing the monthly levels, highs and lows, but I've also annotated where the weekly highs and lows are. Now the blue levels, I've only put those on there to differentiate highs, and the red levels are lows. It's important for you to understand that in your charts, when you're laying out your charts, you want to have specific colors to reference highs and lows. Because if you don't do this, you're not going to understand what I'm showing you here. When the market is able to break above the blue levels, what that is indicating that is it's able to trade higher and through old highs. Now how it trades above old highs, or in this case the blue lines, gives us an x-ray view in terms of the underlying pinnings of the market. Is it really bullish, or is it just reaching for liquidity and then rejecting? Because if it's taking out multiple blue levels on the upside, that's actually showing an underlying bullish narrative that's in play, and it's going to be reaching for a higher level pool of liquidity, not just simply reaching for a weekly high. It may be reaching for an old monthly high. And vice versa, everything's said for the opposite. If the market starts to break down and takes out multiple red levels, which would be indicated by a weekly low or a series of weekly lows and or monthly low, then it's showing relative weakness, and it's able to break through not just one old low in the form of a weekly or a monthly level, but it's going down multiple monthly and or weekly lows. So it's seeking some form of higher time frame liquidity. Daily highs and lows. When you get this lesson, you're going to see there are setups every single day. Now, it's important to understand that while I'm outlining the potential for everyday setups, you are also going to blow many live accounts trying to day trade and short-term trade every single day. And you're going to find there are actually better days to wait. And I'm going to talk a little bit about that in a couple of minutes. But for now, just know that being content with profitability early on in the week is ideal. And taking new setups late in the week, typically Thursday or Friday, after being profitable, this is going to be problematic for you. Because you think that you're going to be able to do this every single day when you're first developing. And that is a misunderstanding on your part, because you're falling in love with the idea of winning. And you're not falling in love with being process-oriented. You like being right. And it doesn't matter how much money you're making, you are falling in love with the idea that you're correct, that you're better than everyone else. And that's going to be a trap for you. You don't see it right now, Michael, but it's going to be a trap. You think that you have to do this every single day, and it doesn't have to be done every single day. In the future, you're going to find a great deal of comfort by not taking trades. Right now, it feels uncomfortable to you. You don't feel like it's right to be outside of the marketplace. The markets are open, so therefore you should be in there trading. That's what you think right now. But you have not understood the potential risks that are involved in this yet. You're too fixated on the money. So you have to understand that when we understand the daily highs and lows offer the potential for draws on liquidity, and that means the market will likely go above old daily highs to reach for buy stops, or below old daily lows to reach for sell stops. Not every single day is the market providing that opportunity. Some days there's consolidation, some days it doesn't even trade to the previous day's high or low, and you have an inside day. Other days you'll have an outside day, which is it's trading above the previous day's high and below the previous day's low. And you're going to learn there's a lot of things that are relatively significant when it comes to individual days that form like that. But that's outside the scope of this discussion. I want you to take a look at this chart. I've included the vertical lines that delineate each daily range. Now, when the market trades through multiple blue lines, it's indicating that it has strength to break old daily highs. And when the market trades down below old lows, in the form of the red lines, it's showing willingness to go lower, and it's showing bearishness. Now, it seems obvious, but that's really not what I'm trying to get you to understand here. I want you to see how the market reacts once it trades below the red lines. If we are bullish and we think the market is likely to go higher, we want to see the market spend little time
everybody doing? Sounds good. Thank you, Hoop. Thank you. Just me tonight. Jay did an amazing job running the show during the day show, and then at the buzzer. The last thing I would want to do is to say, okay, now you got to come join me for slow markets. And like I said, Chicago. Everyone's talking Chicago next week, so he deserves a little bit of a rest to prepare for the Chicago trip. No time off. No time off. Yes. Let me get set up on my end. Coach JB's nap might be taking a nap right now. I know I would. Yeah, I'm getting that wrist disclosure, chat. Getting the wrist disclosure. There is the Top Step wrist disclosure in the YouTube chat. As always, this is for educational purposes only. Everything I say is not financial advice. What else? What else? Yeah, it's not a singles class. Not a singles class. Coach Hoop, he works hard. Love watching him. But yeah, Coach Hoop also. Coach Hoop's always in the chat. Everyone here at Top Step is absolutely amazing. Hell yeah, it's one of the main reasons I'm here. Enjoy it, love it. Let's take a look at these markets now. Look what I have. Look what I have, chat. Look what I have. The trollsters up on the top left-hand side. The Top Step live account, my live account. I'm gonna see if we can test out in some micros. I decided I like the results from the past couple days in the combine, so I'm going to be testing and starting. I don't think it's really testing, but I'm going to start dipping my toes in the water using micros before jumping into the big old minis with that strategy. Let's get to it though. Let's go through analysis here in the NASDAQ. Let's start on the day. Tomorrow, actually, you know what? Let's before that, we gotta look at the schedule. Tomorrow, we gotta make sure we understand there is major data coming out. We have PPI, core PPI, year over year, month over month, and then we also have initial jobless claims. So there's gonna be a volatile morning. And then look at all the ECB speakers just lined up talking throughout the Euro session, the London session. So shout out to Aaron during the London Open and D during the Eurozone. They're going to see some volatility over there on that side of the pond. So other than that, we know. Look, core PPI, understand. No, we're going to get some volatility. This is in Mountain Standard Time, 7:30 p.m., 7:30 a.m. Central Standard Time. And then Friday, not too much. Friday's kind of light, but remember, anything can happen with the tweets, with headlines. Let's look at the daily. Let's get back. Let's do some analysis here. Daily chart here in the NASDAQ. And what are we doing? Where are we at? We hit 20,000, 22,000. This is the first one where we hit 22,000. We not only hit it, we broke through it by 100 points. And we rejected. We've kind of been chopping in this area. This is kind of a nice support resistance area, and you can see where it was resistance. Do we break out? And now is this going to be a breakout? Support becomes resistance, and then do we see a rally and continuation to new all-time highs? Maybe. There's not a lot of reference on the daily chart. You can see back here on November 8th. That was a nice level of support and resistance. You can see that. So there's not too much. There's a lot of chop, right? A lot of chop back in December, beginning of the year, this year. And then we look at even more. We start to zoom in. We can say, oh, well, where did we reject? We reject the 22,000, 90s, 100. We say, okay, there's some resistance there. There's some resistance that we've seen before in the past where, this on the daily chart. You can even make an argument for something like this. Okay, so there's a decent level of resistance up there. Big round psychological number, 22,000, right? And now let's zoom into an hourly chart. Hourly charts. I was talking about this with Fast Markets. I said, look how buy the dip this market has been. Now, look, we're selling off right now. we're selling off a little bit. You can see there's some volatility. There's some volatility, quite a bit of volatility tonight. Like, look at the DOM. I'm watching this DOM, and it's going crazy. Going freaking crazy. I'll keep that open so you guys can see. So you can see. Now, it's been a buy the dip market. I mean, especially, there's no arguing against that, right? Buy the dip, buy the dip, buy the dip. And every opportunity we get on this hourly chart, finding these beautiful buying opportunities. Beautiful buying opportunities. Regardless of what's going on, that's kind of how it's been. However, there's intermediate trends, there's longer term trends, there's short term trends, whatever. There's different types. So you can make an argument that there can definitely be a little bit more of a sell-off, right? So you can see where this is an hourly chart, and you can see where there has been great buying opportunities in this kind of, trend within the trend, right? By the dips in this area, pretty bullish. However, you could also make an argument that, hey, if we do start to break, maybe there's some buying opportunities a little bit lower, right? So if we do start to sell off, I know Coach Jay, if he was on with me tonight, we'd talk about average true moves. When we start to sell off, how far do we typically sell off? There's some room. There's some room to the downside. If we measure these, sell-offs or pullbacks or whatever you want to call them, and we go through here and measure this on an hourly chart and say, well, what happens when the market sells off in this type of lately? And then we continue and we compare them to where we're at right now, and we say, well, we got more room to the downside. And then we zoom in and say, well, how much more room? Look, sometimes these are weirdly how accurate sometimes these are. So we can come in and say, if there's not too much room to the downside, maybe we come back down and test the next level of support. You can see that there's some consolidation here around these 660s. There's some more support on this hourly chart around 650s. This is behind my head. You can see it. There you go. So maybe 650s. If we do get a nice sell-off, maybe we could look at some of this support level, right? There's a nice support, and like maybe the mid 700s. You can see there's some decent buying around there, and this is kind of the zone those average true range or those average true move has been in. So I wouldn't mind either, lower to mid 700s. Maybe we get all the way down to 650s, somewhere in that zone. But looking for ways to buy this market. Want to buy it at levels of support. Want to buy it with reason. And now I'm not saying buy it and we're going to hold it for hours and hours and days, but at least position ourselves in the right direction, right? Positioning ourselves in the right direction so when we do start to zoom in to a 5-minute chart and we do look to scalp the market, we have a good idea of where we're at in the market. We have a good idea with trade location, and we're kind of aligning ourselves with the trends. It's something that I'm always looking to get better at. Sometimes we get caught in the heat of the moment, trading, and then we step back and be like, if I would have done that analysis earlier, I probably would have avoided buying or selling here or doing this there or something. I found myself very prone to that lately. Now tonight, so far we're just continuing to zoom in. So far what we see is we've seen a nice gap down and we sold off, so that's a decent move. We're seeing some volatility tonight. You can see we're gap down, sold off about 40 points. We filled the gap, and then we got another nice sell off of 70 points. Had some buyers step in again around these 820s, and then another sell off of about 70 points. So do we see some buyers step in and then a continuation? Do we break through these 790s? That's the New York session low. Do we continue to sell off? Do we look for these 750s? Can they come into play tonight? Very possible. If we do start to break down below 800 and hold below 800, yeah, I can see these these lows come into play. Maybe about 730, 750. You can see it's a zone. Everything's a zone. They're not exact. So somewhere in that zone is definitely an option. But if this does start to hold, maybe there's some buying opportunities there. I'm going to watch it. Like I said, I'm in my live account, chat, and I'm going to be dipping my toes in the water with micros. Let's move on to gold. Gold, Hoop loves gold. Let's do kind of a similar analysis on gold. I don't want to zoom all the way out to the daily, to be honest. I typically don't. You can see there's a nice trend happening where these buying the dip, buy the dip on gold. We do have something I am interested in. Look at this. This was a level of support. Support did become resistance. We now did break out. And so my question is, do we come up and test these highs? Do we see 3,400? This is an hourly chart. Can we see 3,400? Can we push higher now that we are through this level of resistance? I mean, gold's typically, you would expect gold to go up if the equities are selling off. Maybe there's fear. Maybe that gives us reason to be buying gold. I'm not sure. We already had a nice run up this afternoon. And I mean, that's a decent move for gold. I mean, 1.5%. And then we did get a pullback consolidation. Let's look at a 5-minute chart. I mean, that's very clear, right? Basic technical analysis. Big move. Pull back. We found a level of support. Are we going to see continuation? Are we going to see continuation? Maybe. You know what's also nice is not only did we get that pullback and we're moving higher. Look at this point. Look at this point in gold. These 380s. This was resistance. What happens? Resistance becomes support. And we just seen that in gold. So that makes sense. Resistance, support, resistance. Maybe looking for continuation move. I would be okay with seeing that nice round 3,400 come into play. 3,400. Looking to the left a little bit now. Looks like we do have a little bit of a support resistance level. Zooming in to the past. There's 97s. That was resistance. That was resistance again. 95s. And then it was also support a few times. So it seems like these upper 3390s, 97, 96, 95, seems to be a nice area of resistance, right? Zooming out, looking at it, and that's just under the 3,400 mark. So if I do get into a long, and this market does start to break out, maybe that could be some first nice targets up there towards like 97, 98, and ultimately 3,400. But we'll see. We'll see. Let's get some music on. And I need a drink of water before we start looking at this market anymore. You can hear the music. We're good. 16 ticks. Collect off 611. Yes. Yeah, I don't look at the chat when I'm doing analysis. Most of the day and then still markets. Geez, I enjoy what I do. I'm always wanting to find ways to improve my day trading. Trading is just so amazing. I love it. Pull up these micros. Let's get this ready for some where were you? I don't want the Patreon wall. I know on the NASDAQ it's usually 5 points. So let's see. Top of the hour in 13 minutes. Get 3 contracts. Oh, man, that is the break. I want to be long, chat. Do we see a nice breakout in gold? I think we're seeing it right now. That might be the play. That might be the play. I think I just missed it. You're long 2 minis? think this is the play. I missed it. I need to get some better music. I'm still going through music and creating a playlist. Actually, these are micros, so 100 tip charts will be okay. Yeah, we just broke through those 90s. But we'll see. I want to see how the top of the hour plays out first. Let's take a look at NASDAQ. NASDAQ was right at the support level. There's the 5 minute. How's the volatility? Down to 17. Down to 17 points here on the 5 minute. So obviously it's not as volatile as the New York session. But you see how there's kind of an uptick. See, New York's slow markets, it's kind of an uptick, a spike in volatility. Hour, and then volatility dies. Now we're seeing a little bit of spike during slow markets. NASDAQ down 0.6. Good to see us breaking down. The breakdown trade's actually right here, right now. And I think I'm going to take it, chat. I might decide to take this short. It could go up. Who knows? Yeah, you never know, right? Yeah, there's definitely room to the upside in gold. Okay, I am now short 3 micros. Now remember, this is my live account. Risk 15. Risk about 13. I'm looking at these pivots. I believe risking 9 would be better. This pivot right here. Risk 9. And let's look for 5 points for the first, which would be quarter. That would be about it. But I'm gonna do this manually. I'm gonna really do it manually. Let's make sure. Alright, let's see what we can get here tonight. There's 4. Okay, there's, oh baby. Any more follow through on this? Any follow through? Okay, there's the second contract. Let's see if we can get out of that. I'm gonna see if there's any place to limit. Right above that. Right above this area where we kind of broke down. Let's see if we can find a way to continue to limit the risk. One ATR over here on the left on the 5 minute chart, which is 17 points, and I mean we were basically there, right? We hit 18, so that was like 1 ATR on the 5 minute in like seconds. So let's see what we do. This is an interesting spot. The fact that we just smashed through those 800s. All right, move my CYA. 7 points for that one. See how we formed that nice little level of resistance? So I don't mind having my CYA. Another question I've been wondering is, do I move my stop loss too fast? I don't know. There's 20 points. one ATR is 18. I need to be happy with base hits. So I think that was a mistake, chat. I think that was a mistake. Should have closed it for those that one ATR. That one ATR was basically right there. So I'm gonna go ahead and just follow that process. I'm out. Okay, there you go. That was it. That was it. You don't want to get caught up on saying, oh, I should have done it with 3 minis, right? Because you times this by 10, and that's $630 if it was minis. But you need to think of it as points. Points, chat. So think of it as points. Averaged. How many points did I? How many points? Let's take this. Let's make sure I do the math right. Yeah, chat would probably get this right. You got 3 contracts. How many points average is 3 contracts? Remember, I closed one off at 5, closed one off at like 10, 11, 12, and I closed that final off with 18. So I don't get the full points for all of it. Yeah, points not fixed. Definitely not 42. It's sorry, I can't do the math. So $63 divided by 3 is $21. Oh man, here's some public on-air math in front of 1,000 traders, 1,500 traders, and I'm struggling. 11 points, 11 and a half, 11 3/4. That's what I'm coming up with too, right? Let's do it. I'll show you how I typically calculate it. All I would do is 1 contract is equal to $2 a point, right? Because these are micros. So you got $2 a point, and I was in 3 contracts. So I'm getting $6 a point, right? So $6 a point. How many dollars did I make? Right. So you take 63.5 divided by 6, and that gives you, about 10 and a half. But that doesn't include commissions. So in commissions, yeah, probably about 11 points. Or not down, up. I'm so used to being down, damn it. I'm up 11 points. Up 11 points. You know what'd be funny is if that was a 69. Yeah, 10 and a half points. Net commissions. Oh, there's Brett. Brett Simba in the chat. Are we going for the Bury Big Short yet? I try. Micros, man. 3 micros? Is that considered the Big Short? Maybe we could get Brett Simba on. Can we get you on for some markets, Brett? Traders here in the futures. You'd love to chop it up? Okay, I'll reach out. Maybe once I get back from Chicago next week. Get Brett on. We can talk about shorting this market. Talk about options. I see Brett do. You do options, right, Brett? I think I've seen some options play on your Twitter. Gold's not really doing much either. Like I said, we have inflation data tomorrow, so I'm not expecting too crazy of moves. I I quit options now, just heavy equity. Fair enough. Too much stress? You're doing options wrong. If options is too much stress for you, you're doing options wrong. I love the wheel strategy. It's simple, straightforward. You're not leveraged as much as what did I say the younger generation or the newer online, where look up the wheel strategy. That's my favorite. That's one I always recommend if traders are getting into stock positions. But then it depends on your time frame, right? Are you holding a stock for a day or a week? Yeah, there you go. That's all you need. Sell covered calls and then sell cash secured puts in the stocks that you like. But it depends on your time frame. I know nowadays they have daily options. Not on all stocks, but you find a weekly option on a lot of popular stocks. But anything other than cash secured puts and covered calls can be super stressful, especially in this market. Joe Black, I think you will. It's a lot more to it than that. I don't look at platinum. Great filibuster. I don't trade, so I don't feel comfortable. Talking about platinum. I'm not even subscribed to the data here. Give me what you follow. Head and Shoulders and gold. I don't see a Head and Shoulders and gold. Unless you're... Are you referring to this being a Head and Shoulders? I'm looking for it to break up. I'd make an argument as... If you're looking at this bearish, I could see it being a double top. It would have to break down below these 70s. Everyone's rooting. I'm rooting for me, man. I want recovery in this account. But you start with small steps, readjusting to the market, or you size up. You gotta pay for dinner first. Gotta pay for dinner. What should I do after going 5x a phase with 1 day remaining? Pay out. I would take a step back. Take a step back, and instead of going 5, maybe start with 1. Start with 1. Don't put much income. Start to settle down, right? Do 5x a phase. Hopefully, Joe. I think you will. I'm excited. Everybody, this is just the beginning. Do you guys see? Oh, do you see MP's interview? Lance just released his interview with MP. Let me share it here. I gotta share that. Did it? Let's see where I shared it once. Let's see if I can share this. Yeah, there it is. Oh, that's mine. I mean, I can share his. I can share that. There we go. Good night, Fred. short this market? That's the question. I wouldn't mind it, but I've learned why I'm a bull at heart. I've learned it the hard way again over the past few months. Tilt arrangement syndrome. Maybe long on NQ. I'm watching gold. I want to get long gold, to be honest. Man, gold's already up 1.2%. So does gold have too much room to the upside? I would love to see a deeper pullback here in gold. Nasdaq's up above 21,800. Wait for more confirmation. Take out the tilt on the practice account. Yeah, you know, that's one thing about practice accounts, right? If you are frustrated over something or on tilt or emotional, sometimes the best thing for you to do is, you know, if you need to trade or if you want to trade, do it in a practice account until you gain your confidence back or you're able to control your emotions again. No sense just throwing more money. The worst thing you could do as a trader or as a person in general and about anything is as soon as you start getting emotional, don't think about money. Don't. I see it happen, not in just trading, but I'm kind of like that too, where if you get frustrated, you want to spend money, right? I'm going to spend money. I'm going to throw money at it to see if I can fix it or get back to break even. I've seen that happen. I've done it. Like this. I took a loss. I'm down. I'm just gonna. Next trade is just gonna be twice the size, and then if this one's a winner, I'll have my money back. Flat Joe. Good. Thank you. Yeah, Richard. Yeah, Lance was definitely did not like the profit space and valid reasons for it, right? But it seems like, you know, that's the beautiful thing about actual good constructive conversations and, you know, some open-mindedness. You know, you have an open mind, you can have good constructive conversations, and, you know, maybe you have a change of heart, maybe you have a change in point of views. It's very good to be able to have that open dialogue, and it's also very good to be open on change of views, right? Where I was very hard-headed, myself included, about the trade copier. I was thinking for a while, the trade copier, you're copying 5 accounts, or you're copying 10 accounts, 20 accounts, that sounded so freaking stupid to me. It sounds like someone's just going to the casino, putting their money in a slot machine, and they hit a multiplier, right? It's a multiplier. It's just, instead of putting $100 in, they're putting $1,000 in. And if they blow one account, they're actually blowing 10. I thought it was the dumbest thing in the world, but the more I understood why traders are using a trade copier, the more I liked it. Now, with anything, there's right ways to do it, or healthy ways to do it, or unhealthy ways to do it. There's always both sides, because trade copier is definitely one of those double-edged swords where if you are consistent and you have that confidence to follow your process, it can be very beneficial, and it can help with emotions, or, you know, like this. If this was trade copied 5 accounts, you know, instead of $63, 63 times 5. That's a good day. That's a good day. But then psychologically, I'm only looking at 63. And psychologically, I was only in 3 micros. But if it was copied against 5, then I was actually in 15 micros, right? Or 1.5 minis, and that was a good day. So there's benefits with it, and then vice versa, right? The negative effect of the trade copier, and that's what I was in the mindset of. I only focused on the negative side, is it gives traders more room to gamble, and if they blow an account, they just purchase 5 more, blow those 5 more, and it just created very bad habits. So yeah, best thing is to just keep an open mind. What did MP say? I don't know if it was MP or someone else, but they said, strong opinions loosely held, looking for that very constructive conversation, looking to improve. Because the moment you think you're the best, and then the moment you think you're 100% right and nobody else is to change your mind, that's a very dangerous mindset. Yeah, if you go on tilt, then those 5 XFAs would be dangerous, or 5 combines would be dangerous. Another bad habit is not clicking cancel, right? Not clicking cancel. I've been there. I've been there. Not clicking cancel. Joe Black, thank you. I mean, you kind of have to, right? Go through ups and downs. If you're struggling, if you're starting to suck at trading, you either give up or you adjust. Give up or adjust. Today I almost canceled my sparring. I wasn't feeling 100%, and I had a sparring session today. And I almost canceled it, but I went to it, and I was not at 100%. And I almost, it was not a good session for me. But in any sport, in any analogy, adjustments are key. You can adjust. You get left in the dust. Can you explain why I went short on this entrance? Yeah, here's a 5-minute chart. Remember that it's also recorded here on YouTube, so you can re-watch it. At the very beginning, I did my analysis on the NASDAQ, and we've been selling off. We're down. I did an average to remove, and I said I could see this market coming down and testing these 760s, 750s, and we did start to break down a little bit on the 5-minute chart. And over here on this 100-tick chart, I can see that we had a level. Right, here's a pivot. There's another pivot, and then we rallied up, and it looks like we was just going to break down. I don't know, did I enter here? I entered maybe a little bit lower, and yeah, sure enough, as soon as I entered, moments later, we just done. Your problem is strategy hopping. It's very common. That is very common. You get stuck in the rinse and repeat. You try a strategy, you struggle, you try another one, and you struggle there, then you never find your own. And yeah, I've been there. Every trader's been there at least once. Keep trading, switching strategies until you think you find one that's the golden one. Most of the time I find it's not the strategy, it's the mentality. Not the strategy, but more of the mentality, psychological. Alright, let's see. Gold's breaking out. I did miss a trade. I missed a trade. Look at that nice 3-bar reversal on the 5-minute chart. Top of the hour came and gone. And we had that nice breakout, so I missed the trade right there. Over leveraging, yeah, that's definitely part of it. Definitely part of it. Chopper 77, what's up? Well, so far, first trade in my live account using this, and we're in the green. 400 contracts sitting there. Yeah, 406. We're at 404. 400 contracts at 785. Looks like there was 100 still right there at 88. Alright, let me focus. I'm going to focus on gold. Focus on seeing gold. Can we take profit on gold? I don't know. I can see us getting up to these upper 90s and maybe a test of 3,400 even. It's a big round psychological number. Gold is doing something. I realized that I need a few survival setups. I mean, one of the biggest keys of trading is being able to survive so that you can trade till tomorrow, right? It doesn't matter how much money you really make. I think it's more important that when you are struggling, how much money you lose, right? Because it's easy to make money when everything's going your way, when you are starting to get into the groove and the market's going in your way, and you're feeling it, right? And you're reading the market now. The hardest part is when you're struggling and you're not reading the market well, how much money do you lose, right? Because if you lose 50% of your account, technically, you have to double your account. You have to make 100% just to get back to break even. So, the better you are at controlling your losses, it makes it so much easier when you adjust and start to make money. How did I lose $200,000 a day? No, it was not 200,000. It was like 240,000, right? And yes, that was a loss in a day. I forget it's new that we have new traders coming in every time, so they don't know everything of the story. all relative, chat. Whenever I talk dollar amounts, just understand it's relative. Understand it's relative. I have worked with, I've talked to traders, investors. An intraday swing on their P&L is greater than that, right? Think about a longer term retirement account. So you have, okay, this is extreme, okay, chat? This is not the normal trader. But yeah, there's some doctors, some business owners that they have, you know, say, for example, $9 million in a business account, or from their business or their retirement account or whatever, right? And they're using it very diverse and long term, not day trading, but like, yeah, I own, say, $500,000 worth of shares in Apple, and $500,000 worth of this company or X company or Y company. And then the swings we were seeing in the market this year, where intraday swings, where we would be up 3% and then down 5%, that's a 7% swing. So what's 7% of, say, a $5 million portfolio? Or that example right there, there's a good example. What's a 5% swing of a $5 million portfolio? That's 200, what is that, 250,000 intraday swings that we were seeing in daily, hourly, right? And during all the tariff liberation day. It's crazy volatile markets. Okay, we're starting to build up towards these highs here in the gold, so I am liking longs even more. Alright, let's see, I'm not used to trading gold with this strategy very much. What is... Typically I'd look for my stop loss to be there, but that's 5 points. 5 points is 1 ATR. I don't want to risk 5 full points on this one, even though naturally that's where I'd want my stop loss to be. And for a break, I'm only going to be looking for 1.2 for the first one. So that still doesn't make sense. So I think that's where I want my stop loss seems natural right there at 86. There's not really good reference for me to put my stop loss. Maybe right here. Right where we spiked down to. Right where we spiked down to. I'm going to make that decision. I was looking at this as a reference point. See how there's some support and resistance. That's the only reference point I really have for my stop loss, is just below that, which is kind of ironic because look where gold went to and spiked down to. And that held as support. You see how different markets are... Different markets, right? Can you see the difference between the NASDAQ and gold when it comes stops? Yeah, I think that's the valid point for my stop loss. It's kind of funny how we spiked down there and immediately held that. Look, I picked the top. I picked the top of that move. We're top pickers. So risking 3 points, 3.2, the ATR is 3.8. I still don't like that. I still don't like that. Yeah, each market has their own unique personality. There's a major difference between the NASDAQ and gold. That's for sure. Yeah, this reversal would have been, pun intended, this reversal right there would have been gold. It's golden, that reversal off that support. That would have been the entry right there. Get in around that area, have my stop loss. I think that would have been a better decision. So I'm gonna note that. Breakout trades on gold are a lot more difficult when it's harder to define the risk, because the risk is hard to define, right? Regardless of whether this trade works out or not, that was meh. And maybe this helps. This maybe just like, the fact that I was going with a trend saved me because of that. So I want 1.1 points on this one. So let me see if I can get out of a little over 1 point for the first TP. So going with the trend saved me. Oh, I got 2 on that one. Okay. All right, let's move the CYA. Looking for 4. ATR's at 4 right now. Let's see if we can get out of another one. About 3. We'll get out of that right there, right at 3 points. And then let's make sure we trail. All right, we got 4. We want to see if we can get 4 on this breakout and then trail it. I like that pivot. I like that pivot right there at 92. See if there's areas to... I'll trail this. I want to start limiting my risk as fast as I can. Whenever I scalp like this, I'm more about let's manage risk as fast as we can, as long as the market will allow it and at good reference points. We are almost at 3 points. ATR's sitting at 4.2. I think. Yeah, we're starting to see an increase. I was saved by the long-term analysis, right? The long-term, getting in with the trend, I was saved by that, I think. The fact that I seen this, and the market sold off, it hit that, and then we started rallying, and that's where my stop loss was there for a second. So I didn't like that risk. It was hard to define my risk. The pullback, getting in on the reversal, had a much better risk. So a little bit of a mistake there, and I would have already had a nice profit locked in, and so that was a good trade. It was a decent trade, but I didn't like the way I executed it, just because I got in up here, right? So think of it as how much meat was left on the bone. This nice rally. So there's 3 points. 3 points. Okay, closed off of my 2, scratched for that third contract. But then if I was able to get in at weight, patience, get that defined risk, then this overall move, I mean that's 1.5 of that ATR. And it's just set up again, right? As I was talking, look, that set up again. So are we going to see a continuation higher? So that same setup could have happened again. Same thing, identical. Right there. Yep. NASDAQ, the Michael Burr sell-off. Where it says. trades. How many points was that one? Let's do some calculation. Let's go. GC. I want to focus on those. So 96. Oh man. Anybody want to do the math for me? How many points? I was up 63, right? So do the math. So 107 minus 63, 44 bucks. 44 bucks. So I made $44 on that. Divided by 3 contracts, which is $14 per contract, and tick value on a gold contract in micros is 0.1, correct? Tick value on a gold contract is 0.1 divided by 1. So I made 14 ticks, which is how many points? 7 points. 14 ticks is how many points in gold? 1.4? Okay. Screw math. Yeah, screw math. We're traders. Okay. Yeah. Thanks. Thank you. Yeah. So about 1.5 points averaged. 1.5 points averaged. And one of those contracts I got stopped out for break even. So the ATR here is 1 ATR, right? So 1 point ATR. And so that trade was about 1.5 ATR on this chart. I with bad execution. Real traders, real calculators. Yeah, you say your teacher said you'll never have a calculator wherever you go. Look at that trade. Look, that trade's same setup. That same setup happened again. What the heck? Torture after a choppy day like this and then getting punched in the face. Yeah. That same setup. Man. We're probably already at 4 points. Pretty close. Yeah, we're going up there to those 97, right? Yeah. What made me decide to focus on gold? During slow markets, gold's been more consistent than the NASDAQ. That's the way I see it. And gold's been moving pretty well. Nice clean breakout. If I wasn't scalping, I'd still probably be long, which maybe the scalping strategy, maybe it works well in gold, and maybe my older strategy works pretty well. I don't want to say older, maybe just a little bit looser stop, and like how I normally trade works really well on gold. That was a nice clean breakout trade, and this could very well be true. I could trade normal, how I was trading. Maybe I trade normal on gold, and then I'm more scalpy on the NASDAQ. That could very well do that, right? You don't have to follow the same strategy on every single market. Say gold and NASDAQ, maybe I trade them differently. And that's probably the right answer, too, to be honest. Each market has different personalities. Maybe that's the only answer. NASDAQ is lower. Yeah, I think we still have more room. We're down 0.5% here in the NASDAQ. We're getting to this level, not too much room, maybe an extra 25 points. We continue to sell off too. We'll see. Made a good amount today. The day's just starting. But I am up $107, so I'm pretty proud of that. Trading micros. And if I was trading my normal size, I would be up $1,000. It's $1,000 banger day, but don't want to get into that what ifs, right? He was about. I should have been a bear in like April or March. March was a good time to be a bear. Zachy, are you being serious? You never explained your strategy and where to enter/exit. I just blew my account. I can't take that comment serious. 500 lots on ES. Down. Yeah. Do this 10 times a day and that's $1,000. Joe, I never know whether you sometimes are trolling, sometimes being serious. Just so everybody knows, Joe Black is in my VIP team. Did pretty well. I enjoyed seeing statistics, and it was a rough VIP season, because that was the VIP season where the volatility was insane. That was. What is it, March, April, May? Like, I cannot see another season for the VIP team members to have as crazy of a market like that. Yeah. Greetings from Colombia. Welcome. Don't spam the chat though, please. See the comments. Don't spam the chat. Just work hard. That's all it takes. There's no luck, right? Luck is, what's that saying? Luck is between the at the crossroads of hard work and preparation, or something like that. Make your own luck. It's true. The harder you work, the luckier you get. Everyone here that likes Michael Jordan, that's one of his favorite things to say, or not exactly, but like same thing. Or what do you say? He's like, I'm sorry if I made it look too easy. Well, I don't know if that's the exact quote or not. Dakota, for scalping, is 1-to-1 risk reward a requirement, or can you scalp with bad risk rewards while sizing and adding? No. So I would say that you cannot. This is an interesting conversation. So let me show this. This is some statistics. Here's the dashboard. Here's a combine. Okay. Here's my win trade percentage. 71% win rate. Okay. But then the average loser versus average winner, that's an upside down risk reward. So you can't really, it's hard to give one without the other. Now, I wouldn't say focus on one. You can't have risk rewards and say, if I have a good risk reward, I'm going to be profitable or successful. And then you can't say, if I have a high win percentage, I'm going to be profitable and successful. That's wrong. You have to have a balance of both. It's okay to have an upside down risk reward as long as your winning trade percentage is high. The better statistics to pay attention to is your expectancy. If you can make money, and if you can have your expectancy, your I don't know, there's other words for the same meaning, is if you make money in the long run, that's all that matters, right? You can have a low risk reward and a high winning trade percentage, and you can make money. Or the opposite, right? If you have a high risk reward but a low winning percentage, you can still make money. It's a balance. I'm all red. OBS is silly like that sometimes. It seems like I'm always adjusting it. Trading is a fast way to get poor and a slow way to get rich. I like that. Unless you're a roaring kitty. You trade crypto? I don't. I do not trade crypto. I almost bought Bitcoin on that pullback. I should have now, with hindsight. I got to start scalping with you this week. My preferred trading method, but you helped so much to make smarter scalps. Got paid out $1,500 today. Wow, nice, nice. Did you take a payout? Is that what you mean, Brad? Did you take a payout, or did you just make $1,500 today? Either way, it's the same thing. It's good. Obviously, I want to hear about the payouts. Any hashtag slow markets? Hashtag slow markets meaning you post on Twitter and tag the. Oh, you took a payout. Okay. Congratulations. Nice. I like that. That's what I want to hear. I'm gonna take it. That deserves credit. I gotta appreciate stuff like that, Brad. Gotta appreciate it. Love to do that. Yes, the 3-bar works. If you shorted gold, sure. I'm not active. I don't have Instagram. I don't have other social medias other than the one that you see on the Twitterverse. And I'm doing it for the community. Maybe though. I'm thinking about it. Okay, I'm thinking about it. I might have some stuff cooking in the background. Might have some stuff cooking in the background. Wow, NQ. Do we bounce? Are we still getting to sell out? We dropping. Like, yeah, we're at that support zone now. The 760s, 750s. Another 30-point sell-off. What am I doing watching gold? NASDAQ is on fire. Something different about me tonight? What even is a gap? What even is a gap? Look over here. That could be, might be, that's a gap. It's a gap in price. But usually you want to look at the bigs, like the minis, like NQ, not MNQ, like NQ and a different time frame, not a tick chart. To me, gaps don't mean anything. But who knows? Man, look at this NASDAQ selling off. How do I get 2 time frames? Up here. Click layout. And then we just change the time frame when we check the charts. Buying opportunity here in the NASDAQ? Ooh, maybe? Maybe? I don't know. We're down here at this level of support. Let's look at the hourly. We could still get down. We could still sell off further. Let's look at the daily. I was going to point something out on the daily. Is this a 3-bar reversal on the daily? Yeah. Right? But we've had it before. We've had a 3-bar reversal right there. that got bought up. We had a 3-bar reversal here. That got bought up. I lost my butt on that one. Lost my butt on that one. We got a 3-bar reversal here. Does this get bought up? I don't know. This is an unfair value gap. An unfair value gap. That was unfair. But yeah, these low to mid 70s. They're 700, 730s. So it's like what, 718. Nasdaq's down 0.5%, 0.6. Where's Jay? He's been working all day. I didn't want to. He definitely needed a break after how well he was able to do the day show. Bringing people on, people leaving, managing charts. He even did at the buzzer. And so I would not want to, like, yeah, Jay, come join me for slow markets tonight. He needs a break. Especially, and then, you know, maybe he does have some preparation, I'm sure, to get ready for Chicago next week. Yeah, he hosted all day. Yep. Yeah, he's a very busy guy. How do I create a stop in Top Step? I'm not sure if I really understand what you mean. But you know what, if you want to know how to create something or do something, some of the basics on this platform, there's a question mark over here on the left-hand side. And you can go in here, and then there's like a help center, right? There's a help center. There's 5-minute tutorials. There's a few sources that you can go through and get those details on. Nasdaq found some buyers right there in those 50s. 25 points. 20 points right now, anyway. Those 5-minute videos are awesome, right? Go here, Top Step 5-minute tutorials, break even button, copy trade, additional features, placing orders. Maybe that's what that trader was talking about. Nice. Great, short and sweet. Yep. Gold's still not doing much. Someone teetering on futures probability and learning the real option strategy on the side. Thank you for joining. Of course. 4B. Of course. Shorted euro, US dollar. We have currency futures. Someone's in here trading currency futures. What's that, 6J or something? There's Australian, Japanese yen, Swiss franc. Today I think we've seen someone on the leaderboard trading the Swiss franc. That was great. There's the euro, 6E. Vikram, I haven't seen you use the ATR. This is something new. I'm doing it to demonstrate everyone kind of what I'm doing. It's been a lot better to explain it to traders, where I'm using an ATR to help judge for my take profits for scalping take profits, judging volatility. But typically, honestly, if I was not on air, I would close out of these. Not so much gold, because I still need gold. I don't trade gold very much, and so understanding the volatility in gold when scalping is different. But when I'm trading the Nasdaq, I've got a really good understanding of how the Nasdaq trades, so I don't need these ATR indicators on my chart. So if I was trading just by myself, I would get rid of these indicators. But since I'm doing on air, and I get questions asking what it is, then it's been a nice tool for me to explain it a lot easier. And then ATR, if you didn't know, is an average true range. So this is ATR 14. This takes the last 14 candlesticks, and it says what's the average range of those 14 candlesticks. Right now it's at 17.8, so that means each candlestick, on average, from high to low, is about 17.8 points in the NASDAQ. And it's an average, right? Some big, some small. So it just helps me gauge volatility, like how volatile are these markets. Never traded currencies. Alright, let's see if we can get in long gold. Long the gold. We didn't get all the way down there. Dip. Right dip. Let's see if there's going to be a buying opportunity here for gold. Of course. Joe Black, that's my theme song right there. That's my motto. That's okay. We have new traders joining in and traders that have never traded before. We have people tuning in for the very first time. By the way, who's here for the very first time in slow markets? Anybody in here for the first time ever? Try not to lie. Will I be able to tell? Probably not. First timer, me, really a first timer. I'm just saying it. I never know. Second time, okay, great. My first one was earlier today, so kinda. Oh, welcome. Got 3 years, that counts. Nice. First time, what are you trading? See, that's why I don't mind explaining things. Even though sometimes it might feel like I'm repeating it, because there's new people tuning in. I love that. Yeah, and your first time for today's broadcast. First time with your dad teaching you. Welcome. You don't remember. You learned so much. Yep, we all started somewhere. I always wish, man, if I had something like this when I was learning, I would have loved it. Not needing to pay some person online who's selling books or courses or discords. I could just get online and turn on the YouTube, not have to pay. No need to pay, right? Most of it was self-learned, Giftshark. A lot of it was, unfortunately, self-learned the hard way. And then we have this trader meetup in Chicago. So next week, the team's going to Chicago. Well, the team's out of Chicago, but we're doing a trader meetup here in Chicago next Wednesday. It's coming fast. Me, Jay Barron, they're flying in. Hogue, the team's going to be there. It's going to be a good time. I'm going to have so much fun. And it's only a week away. Only a week away. I'm going to close my eyes and wake up one day and does Whitney's have frozen keys? I don't know. We're on Combines, sim account. Yes. Yep. Please. Oh, everything's going to be recorded. The people who show up, they probably will get to see a little bit more on the inside information. Come to Pinehurst. Not everybody golfs. I do. Some of them on there. Me, Jack, Nick, MP's just, I think we got into golf last year. JD. See how shy you get in person? Dance on the table. Andre said he's doing karaoke. I think Jay's gonna join him. Love to make a trip down to Chicago next Wednesday. Hey, there's gonna be more. There's definitely gonna be more. I'm not seeing too much left going on. We're coming to the end of class. NASDAQ still holding the lows. Tomorrow's gonna be interesting. Remember, once again, just a reminder, tomorrow morning, 7:30 Central, we have inflation data, core PPI, and we also have jobless claims. Tomorrow, we're going to see a lot more volatility around that time. Heck, we might even see a lot of volatility during the London session with all these speakers with, Aaron trades during the London Open, and then during the Eurozone. Markets are settling down just a little bit. I took 2 trades, 2 bangers tonight. Man, slow market scalping this has been gold. It's been golden. It's the golden. I think I'm 4 for 4 on slow markets with this strategy. I take 2 trades last night and both were banger. I don't know. My memory's shot right at this point. But yeah, so far so good. Let's see how tomorrow does. I'll scalp. I'm still going to be doing this. I made the decision. Look, I'm up $107. Or we could talk about points, right? Dollars mean less when they're figuring out a strategy and testing a strategy and preparing it. This is me dipping my toe in the water. $107. That pays for a nice dinner for 2. And so I'll be doing the same thing tomorrow morning. Still testing this in the live account. Tomorrow, does that go hand in hand? Testing live account. I'll be dipping my toe in micros in my live account. How about that? I don't like the word testing and live account. Those don't belong in the same sentence. But yeah, dipping my toe in the water with micros. That would be the debuting. I'm debuting this in micros. I don't know. But yeah, I never want to say testing in live account ever again. On air. Internet's forever. So yeah. McDonald's 7? No, that's maybe I just go by myself to like 5-star. That's like one nice, extremely 5-star restaurant for me.